Yeah. Hey. Yeah.
Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome back to Blitzburg Squad. I'm Wesley Seeley, joined alongside Shane Smith. Thanks for joining us as we dive into the Week 12 recap between the Steelers and the Ravens. Okay, Shane.
11-0.
It is a win.
A win. Should we consider it a loss, though, with how bad we looked?
I mean, between this one and the Cowboys game, it's almost like it feels like a loss.
It does.
It still counts in the win column, but it feels like a loss.
It really does.
Oh, man. Final score 19-14 Steelers. I mean, I predicted before all the stuff came out with all the positive tests and all the people not starting, I predicted 31-17, I think, was my prediction score.
Yeah. Mine was, maybe it was like 31-10 or something.
Yeah, I mean, still.
Or no, I did 27-24, but still, it was high scoring.
Yeah.
Kind of came down to the battle. And then I had said to you, once all these positive tests and the Steelers were showing irritation and stuff, I was like,
Want to change your score?
man, it needs to be 45-0. An absolute blowout. Take all your frustration out, run up the score, just absolutely dominate them. And, Wang Harbaugh has a reason to complain about different things because he's going to complain anyways. And instead, we come out and our defense played angry.
Yeah.
They gave up, quote-unquote, 2 touchdowns. They gave up one really long one. I put that on Edmonds. And then they gave up one inside the red zone because of a muff punt.
Right. A gimme.
Yeah, basically a gimme early on in the game that kind of changed the momentum there because at that point, the Ravens' offense was looking real bad.
Yeah.
And it was our offense, though. Again, our offense, and I don't know. I couldn't. It just surprises me that we only scored 19 when Ben had to quote unquote, throw it 51 times.
Yeah. I think it stinks watching this game. It's not like the offense. I guess that at some points they were sputtering, but it's not like they were always not getting in rhythm because there's a lot of drives before halftime. We were clicking. I think Ben didn't miss a pass on 2 consecutive drives. Led us all the way down in the red zone, stall out because of a drop by Deontay. And then it's oh, okay, we're going to go for it. Oh, okay, it's let's try to go for it. Then we don't convert because of Ben's pick. It just I don't know, it was a frustrating series for the offense. It felt like in the beginning of the game. And I don't know. They just couldn't seem to finish the drives. They had no problem getting down the field on the defense, but as soon as they got down there, it was almost like Ravens did a good job at the bend don't break, kind of like what we do.
Yeah.
But I
would agree with that. And we kept throwing the ball.
Yeah.
You're inside the 5, go I formation, throw in Watt, and just pound the crap out of them. What were you worried about? Yeah. They had no Calais. They had no Brandon Williams. They had no Matthew Judon. They had no Pernell McPhee. It was Derek Wolfe and whoever else. What were you afraid of pounding the rock?
Well, I think our coaching staff has forgotten that we signed Derek Watt in free agency.
Fire Fiechner.
Because you just never see the guy out there. And it's why not do a strong formation or an I formation, something to come out in a running formation and just run right up the middle.
Yeah.
Like you said, and especially inside the 5, inside the 10, something like that. You got Benny Snell back there, and he was running hard all game.
He was. And I had told you as well, why were we not pulling guards more? As soon as we started pulling Fear or DeCastro, Snell was chunking these plays, or it was one guy to beat, and Snell's a bulkier guy to where, I feel he's more not a one cut and go. He's I'm going to bust through you, and then I'm going to get another 4 or 5 yards before you trip me up.
Yeah.
So why weren't we doing that more? I just don't understand.
Wish I had the answer.
We were in the lead for pretty much the entire game. There was one small point where, because we had missed the extra point,
right,
and we went for it, the Ravens then converted and turned that into 7. But shortly after that, we went up 9-7, and in my opinion, pound the ball, tire the defense out, and see what happens from there. And I don't know. We were just between drops and bad play calling and just looking lazy on offense. I was really thankful to have our defense today.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. Is before they dive into the offenses, I do think that the defense played a great game and they kept us in it for the majority of the game. I mean, they were up against RG3 and at the end Trace McSorley.
Right.
So I mean, RG3 might be the closest guy to Lamar.
Oh, for sure.
For a backup, I mean, not a starter, obviously, because you got Kyler Murray and all those guys. But I'm saying for a backup, RG3 might be the closest you can get for a duplicate or of Lamar. So I think they've got it right by having him. It's just we don't fear Lamar because you heard Mike Tomlin say that, and we definitely don't fear RG3.
Right. RG3 is, I think, a little bit lengthier and definitely has more arm power if he had time to get throws off, which he had no time today.
No.
But when it comes to speed or the one cuts that Lamar can do, he definitely isn't there, although he then busted off a 39-yard run, which we'll get into later. No, I agree. RG3 definitely is the guy to have behind him, but then they also put McSorley in, and they start actually passing the ball, which is something you don't see the Ravens do. And
True.
He was 2 of 6, but I mean, it completed for a long thing. He made a couple of nice reads, so made a bad read that should have been a pick, but
yeah, or at least just a catch and a stop, catch and tackle.
Yeah.
But okay, let's dive into, I guess, the offense. Talk about the offense first, and we'll switch over to defense here. But I know we touched on a little bit of what the offense was stalling out, but I guess majority of the game, I think Ben looked pretty good, other than his ugly-looking pick on that fourth down try. He just lollipopped that thing right to Bowser, and I didn't even see a receiver in the area to even try to make a play on the ball.
I would have rather seen him give it up and just drop and let them turn over or try to run for it.
Throw it to the back of the end zone, something. Don't do that.
No.
That's the one thing you can't do.
Yeah, not at all. It was a horrible. I mean, luckily, Bowser still tried to take it out of the end zone, and it ended up being really bad field position for the Ravens anyways.
Yeah,
but
worked to our benefit eventually.
Ended up that was right afterwards. I think it was another 3 and out, and then I think
that was the pick 6.
Oh, that was the pick
that.
6. Okay, that's right. Sorry, I was watching in between work, people, so I apologize.
I can't blame you. 3:40 start. I would say other than that, though, Ben played a pretty solid game. Like I would say for the most time, the receivers were making him look bad because they were dropping some passes, but most all of his passes were, I would say, pretty good decisions. He's still getting it off super fast, which is, I think, sometimes good and sometimes bad the more I'm watching this season progress.
Yeah, it pads his stats, just makes his completion percentage look good in that.
And helps us not to get sacked and him get hit, which is great.
I want to say this is like the 4th straight game or something without a sack for him. Like, he's getting hit after the play sometimes, but I think they were saying, the announcers, which, believe it or not, everybody, Chris Collinsworth actually gave the Steelers credit. I know, it's very hard to believe. But they were saying that Roethlisberger was the fastest, and he was getting it off in like 2.2 seconds. And this game, he had dropped it down to 2.1. Like, it's literally just catch, throw. Like, it doesn't give a defense time to go, and it can help us with the hurry up and tire out the defense, but it kind of gets rid of our run game. Yeah,
and also I think it kind of bites us because, like, we were watching the game together, and that play, and specifically the play to Chase Claypool, was on like a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6.
It's something like that.
And he came down on an in cut, and he was the outside receiver. He came down on an in cut, and it was like a 2-step, 3-step drop. Boom, hit him. I don't even think he looked at another person.
No,
it was
not at all.
Like you said, a pre-snap read. Boom, I'm hitting Chase, and that's that.
And everybody, as soon as they seen Chase cut in, they went towards him.
Yeah.
And if you rewatch the play, you see, I believe it was Deontay was inside of him. He had done like an out and then up, and the safety was still sitting here, and Deontay was still about 3 yards further than him. If Ben would have did a pump fake to Chase, which we know he can do great pump fakes, and just lollipopped it to Deontay,
right, and
he was probably still running.
That's exactly where I think the whole thing of getting it off too fast hurts you in that situation, because if he makes his first read, chase, they all come crashing down, and he either pumps it or just holds on to it. He sees Deontay going up, and he can lob that thing over or zip it, whatever he has to do. I think that's where it kind of hurts us. I do like the fact that he's not getting hit because he's not getting any younger.
Right.
He's had some injuries. He's had a lot of injuries in his past. So we want to keep him upright. We don't want him to see him get hit, but it just stinks when you have plays like that on a 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, whatever it was.
Right. And honestly, there's no guarantee, especially with how Deontay played today, that he would have caught that.
Yeah.
Because like you said, Ben's stats would have looked better if there wouldn't have been so many drops. I don't know how many drops there was. Ben completed 36 of 51, and I would say at least probably 6 drops, if not more than that.
Probably.
Which would have put him to 42 of 51. And, that could have extended drives. That could have added points.
Yeah.
That, different things among that. So, no, I agree with you. I think Ben played a good game. It was his receivers that, and not all his receivers, but his receivers that had a bad game.
Yeah, I mean,
maybe all the receivers. I think there was at least a drop by just about every wideout.
Yeah, I mean, Deontay had a couple. Ebron, I know, at least had one, and they might count the other one as a drop. I know it was a little bit behind him.
Right.
Behind him and high from Ben.
They're probably going to say it is because it hit his hand and he had his other hand there. Because they're going to say, yeah, it was, it was a tough catch, but it's a catchable ball for a receiving core. So
Juju dropped one on 3rd down. I think that's the only one he dropped.
Yeah, he was. He had 8 catches, targeted 9 times, so he dropped that one. James Washington was targeted 3 times, 2 catches. The one drop was the touchdown, which, again, another hard catch, but I'm sure you talk to anybody that's a wide receiver or whatever, and they're going to say, well, or even James himself, he's going to say, I should have had that one. That's on me.
Back shoulder catch. It was a tough one anyways. The coverage was tight.
Right.
It was a good throw, but...
But, I mean, honestly, the biggest drop to me... not the biggest catch, but the biggest drop was Deontay. Ben had that beautiful loft on it.
Towards the end of the game there.
Yeah. And it literally just hit him in the fingertips. He literally tried to pull it in too quick. I think he was thinking about his next move and what he was going to do with the ball. And I think it was John Madden says, you catch the ball before you think about anything else or something along that end. And I'd even told you, and a lot of Steeler fans might hate to hear it, but I think Deontay Johnson can turn into Antonio Brown 2.0. With his shifty moves and his quickness and his route running. AB would have never dropped that ball.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. I'm with you there.
So, I mean, it's just frustrating to see because as much as I love having our receiving core now, and we got the cancer out, which is great, it sucks when you see those balls that you're like, man, if we would have somebody like AB or Julio or Randy Moss back in his prime or somebody like that, they're not dropping that ball.
Yeah. And I won't harp on him too much. I don't like to see the drop. We did have the lead, which is great, but what if you don't have the lead? And it's not going to get any warmer come playoff time. If we get home field advantage, you know what I mean? It's going to get colder. It's going to be harder to make those catches. And that one in specific, you're making a point of where it went lob pass right off his fingertips. Nobody was there in front of him. Nobody was by him. I mean, it was just him and the ball at that point, and he was just trying to make the catch, and he couldn't. I mean, they need to hit the jugs machine or something.
Yeah,
all
absolutely. Because if it would have got played, and I can't say that Pittsburgh looked how it looked up north. For those of you that listen to us, we're about an hour and a half, 2 hours north of Pittsburgh. We had, every bit of 14 to 16 inches of snow yesterday. And, I mean, it was just pounding and howling.
All day.
Even if Pittsburgh got half of that on Tuesday and they would have had to play in that game, if we looked this bad without that, how bad would we have looked yesterday?
With some snow involved and a wet ball.
Yeah.
Cold, yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, they definitely need to clean up the drops, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Clean up the drops, and I'd love to see us run the ball more, but at this point, I don't know if that's...
Yeah, how about Benny Snell? I mean, with Connor being out, I thought Benny, he ran it really tough. A couple, especially to end the game, too, trucking Marcus Peters.
Yeah.
That was a good touch.
Yeah, he trucked Marcus. He had a nice stiff arm on LJ Fort.
Yeah, LJ Fort, yeah.
I mean, he's a hard-nosed runner, and him and Connor are definitely different. But that's what I like. Like, Connor starts getting out. As long as your offensive line can adjust well enough, which some days I'm not sure if ours can when it comes to running. Passing, we're doing fine. Running, I think it's fine to have Snell in because Snell is just like, I'm going to hit you in the mouth,
Ground
and then I'm going to
pound.
keep going. And I love it as long as he doesn't fumble the ball, which he didn't. Oh, that's another thing we should probably talk about is we were really lucky that our wide receivers, because 2 of our wide receivers had fumbles.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that. We were just too busy talking about the drops.
Yeah. We got very lucky.
Very
and
lucky.
Marlon Humphreys is an absolute monster for hitting getting
Punching
the
the
ball
ball
out.
out, yeah.
It doesn't even look like he's trying to punch it out. And then when you watch slow-mo, as soon as he's coming around with that other hand, he balls it up into a fist.
Mm-hmm.
I don't understand why more people don't do that. Because worst comes to worst, the ball doesn't get punched out, but you punch somebody in the armpit or the rib or something, that's going to hurt.
That
and
doesn't
that's
feel
not
good
a
either.
foul.
Yeah.
So kudos to Marlon for what he did, but at the same time, Juju, Marlon's done it to you before. You should know, 2 hands on the ball at this point. Fight for what you do, go down, and same with Deontay. You've been in the system for a couple of years now. Cover the ball. You know Humphrey. You study him. You see him twice a year.
Yep.
No excuses.
Yeah, Marlon Humphrey has completely perfected that.
He really has.
Either that or he's perfected it against us completely. But McFarland, I don't really know. I guess same kind of thing as every other game. You kind of see him for a couple carries and nothing really too exciting so far. He did have a good catch, though. He was lined up wide, I think, and I don't remember who was on him. I think a safety was on him. And he just did an out route, and Ben hit him, and he ran it up for, 10, 12 yards, I want to say. I mean, good play, and it's nice when you have a quick running back like that you can spread out wide.
Right.
I kind of like to see that, but...
Yeah, it looks like he got targeted 1 time, 1 catch, 17 yards. So
it was 17, even
17,
better.
so it was very nice.
Yeah,
he's a shifty little guy, but again, I don't know whether to put any blame on him when he's running the ball and it's not working.
Yeah.
Or if it's, again, our offensive line. Because there was one where it was, I think, his third and final carry. There was a guy in the backfield, and he was just able to outmaneuver him. I mean, he's a quick guy, and he was able to pick up 3, got the first down, and I was fine with it. But then it's immediately we got the first down, and we went back to pass. So I don't know if Fiechner heard everybody complain about, well, all you do is run, pass, punt. And so he's like, okay, well, I'm just going to pass all the time. And it's well, I don't want you to do that either. I want to see balance, and I want to see the defense confused. And
yeah,
right now they're not confused at all.
We cannot establish the run no matter what we do.
No.
You
would think we lost with how much we're complaining.
I know. That's what we do. The only other thing I want to add to the offense before we give our grades is I know Ebron had at least 1 drop, maybe the 2, because you said it did hit his hands. He did have, early in the game, he had 2 nice contested catches that I was really shocked that he went up and got. Just really tight coverage, and he just went up and got it. And it's nice to have an athletic tight end. Just, I don't know, it's we're just maybe scratching the surface with Ebron, but I really liked what I've seen out of him so far this season. So
yeah, no, I think he brings a lot more to the table than Vance does. And was one of those catches, the 27-yard catch?
Probably.
I think I was listening to that one on the radio on my way home from work, so I didn't get to see it, but I do remember hearing it. So
yeah, it was nice. It was a beaut. Okay, man, so what do you have for offensive grade?
I've been debating because we got the win, and I thought Ben looked good, and ultimately he's kind of the front runner. He had a bad pick. There was quite a few drops, and there was 2 fumbles that we were able to get back, but there were still 2 fumbles. So, again, out of anybody, our offense was very lackadaisical. So, I'm going to go... Some people might say harsh. Some people might say generous. I'm going to say C+.
Oh, wow.
They just leave a lot to be desired that we know they can do. And they did a lot of mistakes. Otherwise, I think it was just after halftime, I said, man, this could be 23-7 right now.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have made stupid calls and done stupid plays and made stupid mistakes that it was, at that point, 12-7, I think. Or maybe they had just scored. Maybe it was just after they scored their and made it 19-7. But either which way, it's like, this could be well out of hand at this point.
Yep. I'll go. I have to go a little bit better than you.
You always
a little
do.
bit nicer. But I was thinking same range. I'm gonna go B-. I think you're right. A lot to be desired, because we talked about it during the game. It's like before half, we had how many? I want to know how many trips to the red zone we had.
Well, I know in total inside the red zone we had 3 trips and it led to 2 field goals. So I would assume that was the first half in general, because I think the last time they put that up was when Ben made that throw to Juju on like the 1 yard line.
Oh,
that made me
Okay.
super nervous.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? You said 3 trips,
3 trips,
2
and 2
field goals, and the one was the pick and the 2 were the field goals. That right there, and I think they were all in the first half. Like, that sucks, because you see the Chiefs and everybody, just obviously it's just constantly talking about them being an offensive juggernaut, and it's not like we can't be that. We have the outside, we have got the weapons to do it all over, and Ben's throwing it the best he's thrown it in years, maybe ever. I don't know. It's so frustrating because we have the defense to back us up and they do their job, and our offense just stalls out. They get all the way down the red zone and stalls out. That was the most frustrating thing to me. I hate the drops and I hate the receiver fumbles and the miscues, but that to me needs to be cleaned up. And I think Tomlin even said that at halftime, coming back at the second half.
I'm sure. And I'm sure if he would reiterate that as well in the post game. For sure.
Yeah, that was a huge bummer for me. You can't come playoff time, and I said this before when we played the Ravens too, that Ravens are a heck of a good defense. And even with missing some of the pieces they had, they still had Ngakoue out there. They still had Queen. They still had LJ Fort.
Yeah.
They still had their starting corners, their starting safety. So and we passed it 51 times. So try to passing on their strength at that point.
A lot tougher.
Yeah.
Calais Campbell probably would have got up there and blocked a few of those.
Yeah, no kidding.
He's a big man to do that.
Yep. But yeah, that was my disappointment, was for the offense just not finishing drives with 6 points.
Right.
So let's move on to the defense. I guess first, before I forget, Bud Dupree went down with an injury, and at the time of recording this, we're recording this after the game, so we don't know an update. We don't know what's going on with him yet.
We know he got off the field. And I had even said it to you.
Yeah, during the play.
During the play, as soon as I seen him buckle and fall, I was like, "Oh no, Bud!" And that was the point where Minka could have had a pick and dropped it. And I was so focused on what the heck happened to Bud that I couldn't even tell you the next few series of plays.
Yeah,
I know we got the ball back, and finally they showed Bud limping over, and they finally replayed the play. But
his knee buckled or tweaked it. I'm hoping.
Right.
Speculation, I guess. But.
Right. He was blocking, and, they didn't show it on the play. There was no timeout for injury, so he got off under his own power, and he was able to limp and wasn't on a cart or anything like that to be carried to the locker room when he was limping back to the locker room. So I'm hoping it's like a knee sprain
right.
or a tweak or something like that, but we have no idea.
Right.
And it sucks because this is a contract year for him. He's playing really, really well. Between him and TJ combined, they have 18.5 sacks. That leads the NFL. And there's a guy named Aaron Donald that is out there that him and I can't remember who else. They have
Floyd.
Yeah. They have 17 together.
Mm-hmm.
So you're in great company if you're beating guys like that.
Yeah.
Because Donald's a freak. And so I feel for Bud, and I hope he's okay, but I'm also hoping, it's just a tweak. We have depth, but
it's not Bud.
No, it's not Bud. It's not the way Bud's been playing last year and this year.
Exactly.
Alex Highsmith is a good fill-in, and he's good for spots. And, he's made a pick, and he can get up there and jump, and he's made at least a sack, maybe more than that. But he's not... he's not primed for what Bud is doing, play
Right.
in and play out. I would have to see more of a 50-50 split between him and Adeniyi, I'm sure. If it, but at the same time, if he's hurt and can come back and it's not season-ending, I want him to miss Washington's game.
Oh, yeah.
I want him to sit out, take a week off, come back against the Bills.
Oh,
I would
yeah.
much rather have you back for the Bills.
I would
than for the
assume that's
football
what's going to
team.
happen, no matter if it's a sprain or tweak. He would probably end up missing because of the short week.
Yeah.
It's like turn around after the weekend. Oh, hello, there we are.
Yeah.
I just hope it is something mild. We can't afford to lose Bud because Highsmith is a good fill-in, but at that point, this is his first year. He's a rookie
Right.
still.
Yeah, he's a rookie.
He's just a fill-in in my eyes. Like we've liked what we've seen him in the flashes that he's given us. Great.
Yeah.
But the Bud of last year and the Bud of this year can't be replaced at this point.
No. Now, Bud 3 or 4 years ago. Sure, throw in
Yeah.
Highsmith, no
Oh,
problem.
Yeah.
But no, you're right. Highsmith is a rookie, and so he's gonna have mistakes that Bud at what is this year 5 or 6 for him? I think year 6.
Might be.
He's not making those mistakes, and so I hope he's okay and that, and hopefully he can come back. And even if he's got to miss a couple weeks, so what? As long as we can get him back for the playoffs and he can kind of come back and show that he, hey, great job filling in, guys.
Yep.
But I'm back. I'm dominant. Let's go.
Yep. Yeah, I hope, prayers up for that guy. I hope that nothing serious happened to his knee. And
Right. I haven't checked Twitter to see what they said.
oh, boy.
Because sometimes.
Oh, boy.
Did it just come
I
out?
just got an update. Dupree may have torn ACL. Initial tests indicate.
Well, literally just now.
Just in.
Wow. 8 sacks this year. Torn ACL. Possible torn ACL.
Oh.
I mean, honestly, it's sad. It wouldn't surprise me, though.
Yeah, I mean, you saw him pounding the ground after that play. He knew something was immediately wrong.
That is kudos to him, though. How many guys tear their ACL, get up, walk off, and walk to the locker room? Like, that just shows his toughness, though. Almost like when Joe Burrow went down.
Yeah.
Joe Burrow's knee may have been a little more
MCL
mutilated.
and ACL,
yeah. I mean, that
that's a heartbreaker, man.
that's a blow. So, I mean, that just says may. It doesn't say
Yeah.
confirmed. So we still don't know.
Right.
And there's a difference between a full tear and a partial tear. I partially torn my MCL twice. So,
I mean, is there any possibility if it's a partial tear that he can return back by playoff time?
ACL is probably more stable than an MCL. When I was playing sports and I partially tore my MCL, it was 6 weeks, nothing. That would put you out the rest of the year. And I mean, I was in an immobilizer. I wasn't doing.
Yeah, sure.
They didn't do surgery on me. They decided because I was young enough to let me, repair itself. Didn't work because I tore it again. But it was 6 weeks in an immobilizer in crutches, and then go back to doing what you were doing. So I would think with surgery,
if they decide
maybe 2 months.
Right.
So like it would maybe be like what, the championship game? Well, maybe not. Maybe the championship game is when we would see him back.
We get there.
If we were lucky enough. So.
Oh man, no, that sucks. I'm like I said, it is just an if for now. So
Right.
It might be wrong.
Well, that would be the second one we lose on defense to an ACL.
Whew,
So, because we
Man.
lost Devin already.
that sucks.
So,
Well, Highsmith and Adeniyi they're definitely gonna have
their
to step
workload's gonna go up
big time.
So I would say the majority we would probably see Highsmith more than Adeniyi.
I'd rather see Highsmith.
I would too.
I know we just talked that he was a rookie, but I've liked what I've seen of him more
Right.
than Adeniyi.
Let's switch gears here. But no, I would rather see like maybe a 70-30 split.
Yeah, that'd be fine.
And then that would
Fresh
probably
legs.
put J-Ron Elliott up, which he's on the active roster. He was inactive today. And so J-Ron Elliott, which he's done okay too,
Yeah.
at least in preseason.
Yeah.
He's done well. So, and that would be able to have Watt still to have time off for plays as well, because Watt as much of a beast as Watt is, he can't play every single play. So
No.
So, but I guess enough about the depressing news, possibly.
Yeah, jeez. Okay, let's get on.
about
Let's get on to the game. Okay, so I was really pleased. I mean, I know we've said that the defense did awesome this game.
Yeah.
But dude, what a big time play to start the game by Joe Hayden to get the
Pick six.
pick six, because we kind of got the gimme fumble from the mishandling from the the handoff there to Gus.
Right.
It just fell straight down and didn't even bounce anywhere. And I think Vince scooped it up, so we could just kind of get a gimme there, and I think that was the drive. We didn't do anything with it or threw the interception. But then, I think we came right back, though, and Joe Hayden made a nice read, a jump on the ball, picked it, and then took it the other way. He almost stumbled and tripped on his own feet, but it was a great play by Joe. I don't know. This defense is just, I don't know. They're just very opportunistic. They're just very do their job.
Right. They are consistently getting turnovers week in, week out.
Pressure.
They're getting pressure. Even if they're not sacking the quarterback, they're hitting the quarterback. Yeah. I mean, we took RG3 out of the game.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he had ice on his knee at the end of it, and I don't even know when that happened because we were hitting him so much.
I think it was it could have been on that one he was scrambling out, and then he started limping. It was on his own. It was like non-contact.
And then he ended up still playing through the third and, halfway
through the fourth or something?
Or a third of the way into the fourth, and then he went. So, but, I mean, we beat the heck out of RG3 and only let him throw for 33 yards.
Yeah.
Trace threw for 77. One play was 70 yards, and that was my biggest gripe because Terrell Edmonds had a 2-interception game last game, which feels like forever ago now. And I think, honestly, it went to his head because it almost looked like he was trying to go for the ball. And he was way too far away to go for the ball. Like, it should have been like ball hits Marquise Hollywood Brown's hands. Edmonds drills him. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Because I think Minka or Hayden or Nelson or Hilton even, if they would have been in that position, that's exactly what they would have did.
Yeah, it's almost like his timing was so off that he thought he was going to get there quicker than the ball was.
Yeah.
I don't know what he was thinking there.
Yeah, so then it left.
He should have just played it safe, though, because obviously you know what it turned into.
Play it safe, live to play another down,
right.
and stop giving Steelers a heart attack.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. But no, I think overall we did well. Spillane's doing great still. Avery Williamson, he played more. He did good. Chris Wormley played quite a bit, although I think he went out with an injury. I don't know if we've seen him come back. I think a lot more Mondo and Bugs after that.
Yep.
Hayward had a great game. Watt had, as it stands now, 2 sacks. That puts him up to, I think, 10.5 or 11.5 on the year. I don't know. He doesn't stop. He gets held. He gets chop blocked. He gets whatever. He just doesn't stop. And he's always hitting somebody.
Yeah.
And I mean, we make the stops when we have to. I mean, the first touchdown, it was inside, like we talked about, it was inside the red zone. So, yeah, that stinks. And then there was one big play, and that was it. Otherwise, the Ravens' offense, a couple of first downs, but they didn't do much. There was one at halftime.
Yeah, I was going to say that one right before half they drove down.
Minka made that great play, which Harbaugh was complaining about because when doesn't Harbaugh complain? I mean, he could probably win 50-0, and he would still have something to complain about the other team about doing something wrong or the refs not doing this or – and that's something you don't see from the Steelers organization, which just shows the immaturity of Harbaugh. But because there was that...
You mean Wang Harbs?
Wang Harbs. Lil Wang Harbs. But because there was that pileup. And, yeah, maybe the Steelers were trying to get out slow. But you can't tell me if it was the other way around, Harbaugh wouldn't have told his players to do the exact same thing.
He would have been complaining if we would have been complaining about it.
Yeah. Exactly. So I don't want to hear it because he would have done the same exact thing. Or like back in the day with Ed Reed, Ray Lewis, Terrell Suggs, I'm sure they did that many a times, and we did it in return to them. That's the NFL, buddy.
Right.
Just deal with it. Like, I don't want to hear your excuses. I don't want to hear anything. Like, accept your defeat. Should we have defeated you by more? Absolutely. But guess what? Our
100%.
defense came to play and absolutely stifled your offense.
Yep.
you know what? We win. We're 11-0. I don't care how you feel about it. I don't care if you're a Chiefs fan. You're like, oh, look at the easy schedule. You had 20-some players on. I don't care. You have no defense. What do you have to talk about? We have a defense at least. And if our offense ever clicks, or if we play a team like the Chiefs with no defense, we should at least be able to score 30, and our defense is averaging, what, 18 points a game?
I think
for
that, yeah.
other opponents. So I don't care. We're undefeated. Get at me.
At me. I would say my only knock really is the play that Terrell Edmonds thought he could make.
Yep.
That he didn't. And then
and I'm not putting that on all 11 guys. I'm putting that on one. Because Minka still tried to make a play, and you've seen Vince and Spillane still running down the field trying to fix what happened. So they were doing everything they could there.
I'm with you there. I didn't like to see that, obviously, and you can't have that when it comes to bigger games and bigger, more stronger opponents.
Right.
Especially if it's in playoffs, too. And then right before half, obviously, they made one last effort to go down and try to get some points before half. They didn't, thankfully, because they're, I think, poor clock management and then poor play calling. Right. And then a great play by Minka, I think it was, that knocked it out of his hand. So great play there, too. So held him scoreless. But, I mean, you could probably slice and dice this a little bit more, but I'm perfectly fine with them playing the way they did.
Yeah. No, I would agree with that. It wasn't perfect. Probably won't ever be. They allowed 100 and some yards rushing again. Almost 70 of that was from RG3. But you look at their running backs. Their running backs had a total of 18 carries for 45 yards. Mm-hmm. That's what you want to see the Steelers do. And that was without Stephon Tuitt.
Yep.
That was without Bud Dupree, near the end of the game. That's without Devin Bush. That's, we have injuries too. And even on the offensive side, even though we talked about them, Marquise Pouncey wasn't in.
Yeah, our signal caller.
And James Conner, our overall back. So I won't give him an A+ just because there was some mistakes. And so, unfortunately, Edmonds drops it from an A+, but I'm still giving him an A.
I'll give him an A as well because considering who they played against, they shouldn't have scored anything lower than an A.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm fine with it. And they played great against the pass, other than that long touchdown.
Right.
I mean, look at the stats. RG3 stats, horrendous.
Yeah, you take away, say, I don't even know how far down the field that was, but say it was a 20-yard pass. That would put Trace McSorley 2 for 6, and maybe he would end up scoring later, but we'll say 2 for 6 at that point. 27 yards, RG3 33, not including the sack loss yards, 60 yards passing. We still haven't allowed a 300-yard passer all game.
No.
I don't know if there's another defense in the league that has done that. Maybe the Ravens, but I can't remember what Ben scored on, how many yards Ben got on them last time. But not having a 300-yard passer all season, that's an accomplishment. Mm-hmm. If a team wants to run 120 yards on us, but we're only holding, their passing is 200 a game, I'm fine with that. Because I feel like we're still going to win more often than not.
Yeah.
Because the way our defense plays, most of the time we're in the lead, and the teams have to throw to come back into it. And if we're not letting them get to 300, I would assume 9 times out of 10, you're probably winning that game.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and just listen to these stats, too. Marquise Brown, 4 receptions, 85 yards, 70 yards off of one play. Then you got Duvernay with 3 receptions for 20. Justice Hill, 2 receptions for 5. Des Bryant, nothing. Luke Wilson, nothing. That Prochet, nothing. So those guys that I listed, you had 9 total receptions.
It's horrible.
For the whole game.
And you played behind the whole game.
Yeah.
Other than maybe a 3-minute, 5-minute part of the game.
Yeah.
You played behind the whole game.
Yeah.
And
they just ran it too much. I mean,
and they started running it well, and then the Steelers were like, guess what? We're going to stack the box, and you have to throw it.
Yeah.
And they were stacking 8, and guess what they were still trying to do? Run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
Then all of a sudden, Hill gets a negative 2-yard. Okay, you're hitting RG3 at the line of scrimmage. And then it's like, oh, man. Now, one of them, it was 3rd and 21. What'd they do? They ran the ball.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying, okay, we have nobody to throw it to, so you win. At that point, they're just giving up.
Yeah. They just didn't trust RG3 either.
Not at all. Then they put in Trace, and he did better. He threw for double the amount of yards and way less.
Got lucky on the one, but
right. It's still just, I don't know. I wasn't too nervous the whole game. I was just frustrated on our offense.
Oh, yeah.
Because I knew our defense was playing out of their minds today.
Yep. One more facet of the game, our special teams. So, that major side, because you had Boswell miss the extra point again, which, what the heck's going on with him in these extra points?
I don't know. He can drill.
Mr. Automatic when it comes to field goals.
Yeah. Literally, Mr. Automatic. He was another 2 for 2 on field goals.
Yeah.
And 0 for 1, or no, what was it? 1 for 2. We scored 2 touchdowns. 1 for 2 on extra points. So I don't know what's going on with the extra points. He needs to kick about 300 of them this coming next few days.
Yeah. Yep. So, missed extra point there.
Yeah, missed
Sweet.
the extra point.
Awesome. Then we get, I think it was after the pick 6, they got the ball back. We stopped them again. Might have been 3 and out. I don't know. I think it was 3 and out, actually. They punted the ball. Ray, for some flippin' reason, doesn't understand or doesn't know that someone's 5 yards in front of him when he fields the punt. Doesn't call fair catch. Gets hit immediately. Ball pops loose. They pick it up. And they get the ball inside the 30, inside the 20 maybe.
Yep. And honestly, I think that scared Ray after that. Because after that, unless he had to actually run it, he was calling fair catch just...
Yeah, and the one I thought he had room to run, and he called fair catch.
I just think he got into his head, which I'd like to see him get out of his head. And they said he had fumbling issues, and maybe that's why he got scared, because he's just hearing all those voices and that. 1 fumble through 12 games isn't horrible. However, it led them to 7.
Right, you never know when that one can be the pivotal one in the game.
Exactly. So I'd like to see him clean that up. If for some reason that happens again, as much as I hate to say it, put Deontay back there again and just leave Ray to kick off.
He's got fumbling issues too.
I know.
Which route do you go? I mean, Ray, like you said, Ray out of 12 games, 1 fumble is not bad, and he's looked great returning the ball. We've really liked what we've seen, but man, it's just
That was a pivotal momentum swing.
And it's not even like he had room to run and he ran off to the side and got hit and fumbled. It was right away. He should have known that guy was 5 to 10 yards in front of him.
Right.
Got hit immediately.
Yep.
And then your buddy Barry, I don't know.
So he was looking okay. He had 2 punts for 98 yards with a long of 56. So he had not a horrible shank, but a shorter one, and then a decent bomb. He ended with 4 punts, 177 yards with a 44.3 average. So his last 2 went down because he was at like 49.
I don't remember where we were at on the field when we punted, though, because that could make a big difference, too.
That could make a difference. I know one of them, he kind of shanked it.
Okay.
And I actually thought it was more of a boomer. And there was an illegal block in the back.
Oh, okay, yep.
And then whenever I looked, and I was like, it's only on the 20? Like, because I thought it was going to be further back than that because it's from where the spot was. So he really shanked that one. That one might have went like 30 or 35, and then he kind of got helped out with a 10 or 15-yard penalty.
Yeah.
So that one right there was probably what dropped him because then he had his last punt, which I thought flipped the field pretty well. That one was probably close to like a 50-yarder.
Must have been then.
And so...
So he just did average.
He did okay. He did about what he does typically, and so far he hasn't shanked one that's cost us a game. If he does it to the Bills again, then we know he's siding with the Bills.
Yep.
I'm watching you, Barry. Still don't trust you.
What do you think you're going to give the grade on the special teams?
I can't give him a good grade.
Danny Smith and his special teams unit.
Yeah, they'll have one good week.
Yeah.
And then, what was it, the Cowboys one? We gave them like...
The Cowboys was horrible. Yep.
A horrible grade. I can't give them as bad as that because it wasn't as bad, but it was getting there.
I mean, Boz made his 2 field goals, if that helps at all.
That he made 2 field goals, did redeem himself on an extra point.
Yeah, made the extra point.
But
the one.
On the Cowboys one, there was no fumble and lost fumble on the special teams. So
no, it was just returns.
Yeah, the returns were horrible. I'm going to go D. Just a flat D.
Whoa.
You lose a fumble, you miss another extra point, you don't do anything wowing. Even after that, There was that one like fake onside or pooch kick or whatever the Ravens did, and they returned it after they'd scored that long touchdown that Ray grabbed, and he almost it looked to me again like he was in his head and he just didn't really want to return it, and that put us on like I don't know the 10 or 15 yard line.
That's what I was thinking. Yep.
And so it was just we didn't have enough wow plays and we had too many negative plays onto it.
Yeah, this was
because the 2 field goals were like I don't know 30-some yarders. What was his long field goal? His long field goal was 27 yards.
Yeah, I was gonna say at 27-24.
So I can't. Yeah. So I can't give him too much credit on that.
Sure. I mean, yeah.
If he would have missed those, I would have been.
What are extra points?
35.
Okay.
They used to be on like the 2, and then
Yeah.
they moved it back to the 20
Used to be
or
19s.
whatever.
I think I'll go C-. It's hard to see too many positives. I guess Boz made his 2 field goals great. He made the last extra point. He could have botched it. And then Ray's fumble obviously is unopportunistic. However you look at it, I'm just trying to make a benefit of the doubt here. But maybe it could have been to a stronger team. Maybe it could have been to a more pivotal point in the game. And
Right.
I understand it was a difference maker in the game, but hopefully he can clean that up. But it is 1 out of 12 games he's played for us
Right.
so far, and he's really looked electric
He has
on all of his returns.
This was probably the first game he didn't look.
Yeah, there was like no return he had this game. Although I don't know how many chances he had.
not a whole lot. 3 kickoffs. How many times did the Ravens punt? Let me take a look.
It didn't seem like very much, but I would think they would have punted a lot.
Ravens punted 7 times, so he
Okay.
had 10 chances.
So I wonder how many he fair caught after that then, though.
I think
'Cause
he fair caught all 6 punts after that.
That's what I was wondering, because it didn't feel like he saw very many returns.
Not at all.
And then Barry, he just did kind of mediocre. So I'll go with a solid C+, C-.
I say, geez, hallelujah, bumped it up that much.
I'm changing it on you.
Holy
No, I'm going to
cow.
go C-. C-. Yeah, definitely need to. Boswell needs to hit this extra points. I don't care what he needs to do. Just kick 100,000 over the weekend. And then Barry needs to practice his punting. And then good old Ray just needs to go catch a bunch of punts, like through the jug machine, whatever.
Yeah, a bunch of punts. Go back while Barry's punting them and do it. And
Yeah.
maybe even some like harder ones, or get your hands real cold or something like that, just to prep yourself.
Hug
Honestly,
that thing as soon as you catch it.
But are you really giving them a C- just because we won? Because it would have definitely dropped more if it would have been a loss, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. C- definitely bumps it up because they won. They'd probably be.
We only won 19-14, though.
I'm taking it, man. I have to be better than you. Would you give him D?
Yeah, I gave him a flat D.
So
You could have went D+.
I could have, but
You were just too nice.
if Barry would have done really bad, then I probably would have. I would have gotten to the D's.
I still believe he's going to shank one sometime. He has never won a season without shanking one.
Well, don't talk it into its existence, man.
Listen, if it's week 17, I don't care.
I don't care about that
we're
either.
15-0 at that point.
But if it's the Bills or the Colts, I don't want that.
I will go and track that man down. I will track that Aussie down. I don't care if I have to go to Australia for it. I will track him down.
Oh, boy. All right, dude. Well, you think you have anything else to add to this recap?
No, I think I went long enough on my rants.
Okay. All right. Well, you know what? We're 11-0. It wasn't pretty.
Not pretty at all, but you know what? We're still undefeated.
Yeah, we're still undefeated, and I don't care. I don't care what Ravens fans say. I don't care what any analysts say.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say it's going to be analysts.
We still swept the Ravens this year.
Swept them. First time in I don't know how long. We swept them. The analysts can say whatever they want because the Chiefs' offense is good, but the Chiefs have no defense. So I don't care what analysts say. I don't care what Chiefs fans say. I don't care what Browns fans say. I don't care. We're 11-0. We're undefeated. We find ways to win, and that's more than we can say about any other NFL team.
Yep.
Any of them.
Somebody has a loss.
Somebody.
Not the Steelers.
No, not yet. Not yet. We keep going. I don't care if we win by 1 point and it comes down to the last yard, or if we win by 40 points and it's an absolute blowout.
I know it's not as fun to watch these ugly games, but it's still a win at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, and ugly games give us things to coach. It gives Tomlin things of saying, "Oh, great week, guy." You know, if it was a 40-0 blowout, he'd be like, "Well,
we're up here on our high horse still.
What can I tell him? You know, I got to bring him down and then build him back up, kind of thing." If you have an ugly win like this, he's going to go and say, "Listen, you guys were playing mainly second string, and they had nobody. What were you thinking?" Like,
and you heard Ben after the game. You could just see it on his face. You could hear it in his voice. He was disappointed.
Yeah,
and he even said like there was a lot to be desired out there in the field.
A lot to be desired.
Our offense I didn't play
horrible.
good. Yeah.
And that's what you want to hear from your quarterback. I understand eventually people are going to say, well, he says that every week and it gets old. You know what? It still gives him hunger to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I mean, the Dallas game was the same way for me. It was like, it was a really ugly win. That was even uglier than this one for me, but that one was ugly. But it was a game that you can look back on and be like, okay, we still got the win, so our record's still perfect, but we have got work to do.
Yep.
It's not like, it's not like a 56-0 game. Yep. And you're like, okay,
and
we did everything right.
After that ugly win to the Cowboys, what happened to the Bengals?
Yeah, they got smacked.
Steelers came out ticked off.
Yep.
And because I'm sure Tomlin ripped them a new one in practice.
Yep. Yes, sir. Well, it's still a win.
Still
ugly,
win.
But it's still a win. 11-0, man. So, on to the Washington football team next week.
Washington football team.
And it's at home, so we don't have to go very far. That's good on a very, very short week.
Yeah.
Play Monday night at 5.
Yeah, Monday at 5.
Oh, my gosh.
Another one for those who work and get off at 5. You're probably missing the first quarter. We'll get into that in our preview, though.
Right. All right, dude. You don't have anything else to add then?
No, I ranted again.
Okay. Sweet, man. Well, I guess until next time, go Steelers.
Go Steelers.